Graham, and together we are Married Women's Business. You can find us at marriedwomensbiz.com. So today has been quite a day. We just finished talking about all the things that are going on with Black people, throwing other Black people under the bus. The latest victim of this is three-part. It's Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry. And the person doing the throwing was Monique. Apparently, this past weekend, she did a stand-up bit, which of course she's a stand-up comedian. That part is not new, but she literally told Oprah, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry that they could suck her D if she had one, because they got her blackballed or whiteballed, even though none of them had any balls. It was quite a thing. I'm sure we'll
quite a private parts fest.
We'll put a link in the comments section, in the description here for you to see the video. But Shaquita, you saw the video clip of Monique throwing all that shade. What did you think?
Well, first of all, I love how comedians can just get away with saying anything. I mean, she's a comedian, you know, but on one hand, it was real. So it's twofold. On the one hand, I love what Monique did here, because it reminds me of the fact that we have a major problem, and it's not funny. We have a major problem in the Black community where we have Black people who not only do they support white supremacy, but they love to use whatever power they have to hurt other Black people. And that's really psychotic. It's really crazy. And it stops us from winning as Black people, in a sense, until we deal with them. And they do. People like that, they do need to suck a D. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
So let me get this straight. You're saying you agree with Monique that Oprah, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry need to suck a D?
Now, see, don't, Noma.
I'm just trying to get it straight here.
I'm trying to get it straight. You guys, okay. So what I'm saying here is that if she feels like they need to suck a D, I can understand where she's coming from.
Okay.
Because when people attack me and other people in the Black community, I think that that's an appropriate statement for them. And
Okay.
I love the fact that she's not afraid to speak out against people who are attacking and oppressing her, because it's obvious that she has confidence that she can make her own way, her own opportunities, and that nobody can stop her, which is great. I mean, in the Black community, we need to feel that we need to have confidence enough to fight against oppression. We need to feel like we can build our own opportunities for ourselves despite those that are coming against us. So I love that about Monique. But let me just say this one thing before I toss it back to you, Noma. When you participate in activities like making what many people consider a racist white supremacist nightmare movie like Precious, and then she also produced another movie about the gay lifestyle in Black life, or something called Blackbird. Some people will say you deserve horrible karma to come upon you, because those images, a lot of people feel, are very, very, very destructive to the Black community. So it's twofold for me. What about you?
Well, you know, I looked at this from both sides. On one hand, I agree with you that if somebody is using whatever power they have to oppress another Black person and to actually kind of stop them from getting their paycheck or getting paid, that is very problematic. Mm-hmm. Then on the other hand, I read a lot about how Monique was becoming very, very difficult to work with. And
I don't believe that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that.
I remember reading that she, you know, I think she's on her third marriage. So her husband is her.
Low blow, no.
I wasn't even trying to blow you know, it wasn't a dig at her. I'm just saying that I remember that her husband, at the time he was a relatively new husband, and I think it's her third husband. She was, you know, the act, and he was the manager. And apparently he was making demands that were crazy, you know. And that's one of the reasons why even in that bit where she went off on Oprah and them, she was like, they wouldn't pay me enough, they wouldn't do this, they wouldn't do that, but they'll do it for white people. Now she's probably right. You know, the truth is across the board, whether it's Hollywood, music, or whatever it is, for the most part, the white supremacist system, which most things operate in, will pay white people more than they will pay Black people. I once saw this list of you know, what in the comedies or the comedy series or whatever, going all the way back to Friends, and then now, yeah, all these sitcoms. And it was talking about The Big Bang, Charlie, the one that Charlie Sheen was on, and then it went all the way to Blackish, and the people in Blackish were making the least amount of money. But Blackish is such a successful show, and so many people love it, and it's on prime time, just like all the other shows. But those actors get paid the absolute least, and the same thing for Empire. Say what you will about the show, whether you like it or not. The fact is, it's a successful show, and it's on prime time. But again, those actors were right at the bottom in terms of what they were getting paid. So I think that Monique was requiring whoever she was working with, or her husband was requiring them to pay her like how they usually pay white people, and that didn't go over so well. And then she had other demands and things. Now, of course, I personally think that she should have made those demands, but at the same time, the results is what she's dealing with now.
Yeah, okay, so the story that I heard, let's kind of get deeper into it with Monique, is that the producers of that horrific, destructive, ridiculous film, Precious, wanted her to fly to the Cannes Film Festival or some film festival to promote the movie for no pay. And she felt that, okay, well, if you don't want to pay me, that's fine, but I don't want to come if you don't want to pay me. Right. And so that was deemed to be difficult, if I can recall, because this happened in, I think, 2009, okay? She made that movie she produced a movie with Isaiah Washington, and I think it was 2014, called Blackbird, which was, you know, a whole thing about promoting gay Black life or whatever. And then we know she recently did the movie about the Christmas movie. I can't remember the name of it.
It was a comedy of some sort.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of that. Okay, so in that scenario, you have a lot of incorrect behavior on both sides. And this is the thing we need to get rid of in the Black community. Because if I was a Black producer, you know, I understand that I'm walking a tightrope in a system of racism, white supremacy in Hollywood, but I'm gonna try to get my sister her money. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, Monique, you know, I can't do you like I would do, you know, I don't even know the names of these white actresses, but whoever they are. Becky, right. I can't do you like I would do Becky, but I understand I want to give you a little something for your trouble. Oprah could have easily said that. You see what I'm saying? And then that would have made everything a lot better. But instead they said, look, we're rolling with the racist white supremacist system, apparently, and then you need to do the same thing. So just to dovetail off of the Monique situation, because I don't know the details for sure, I just know what was reported. Right. But there are like many Black people who look for opportunity to attack other Black people instead of us corralling together, as you know, many other ethnicities do. They will cover each other's wrongs. You could be wrong as the day is long. They're gonna cover, like with the Peter Liang situation. The Asians was like, yeah, he killed that Black guy, but he's not gonna be the one who gets to go to jail when all the other white people get off. I mean, they had like the most asinine defense for that. And then look, we had a Black district attorney who let that fly, who facilitated this man getting off. This is a major problem in the Black community. And until we address these Black, what I call Black Anglo-Saxons, as Monique, I feel like she was trying to do in a sense, then we are going to have really a real difficult time defeating our enemy. And to be honest, you know, Monique is a part of that structure from the standpoint of the media that she's promoted. You know, that movie Precious was so destructive. I think we were talking about how a lot of Black people have a little nickname of Precious for their little cousin or their little niece.
Or their daughter, yeah.
Just doing that, you like, look, I don't even want to hear the word precious, the way that movie was. So, you know, what do you think about that, Noma, from that perspective?
Well, just yesterday I actually put up a post and I said that a lot of Black people have no understanding of what loyalty means.
Mm-hmm.
And I really believe that because I see it too much where I feel like people don't really understand what it means to be loyal to somebody or loyal to your community or loyal to your people.
Yeah, your people, your brothers and sisters.
Yeah, people don't seem to understand that. And the way I look at it is I think of family and I think about the fact that when I have a family member who offends me or I offend them, there's nothing wrong with calling them out on what they've offended me with, but it should never spill outside of the family where everybody who's not family now sees that I have a problem with a family member of mine. Because in all the confusion, just like we're having this conversation, people can't even tell who's right or who's wrong. And we're painted with the same brush of people who can't manage their relationships, can't seem to get along enough to get up and do something. So it's really horrible and it's really ugly on both sides. I think that when there's conflict, people need to dig deeper in terms of finding conflict resolution skills. And that's lacking. I mean, Oprah is a major figure. Tyler Perry is a major figure. Lee Daniels is a major figure. Monique is a major figure.
Right.
They should not be dragging each other like that. Now, Oprah, Tyler Perry and Lee Daniels will probably stay silent and not even respond to what she's saying because they feel like, well, we're not going to dignify that with an answer, something like that. But the truth is the damage is done. We're already talking about it. We're already wondering if really that's the kind of people they are. I question Monique too, that she's still spilling stuff out. You know what I mean? To me, it's ugly either way, regardless of at the end of the day, when we analyze it, who was wrong, who should have done what, who shouldn't have done what. The fact is, it should never have spilled out to the point where we're now having a conversation about it, where white people are looking and thinking, they can't get it together for nothing. And that's the way I feel is the major problem here. I feel like loyalty is grossly misunderstood. People don't understand, no matter how mad I get at a family member, and by family member, I mean you, I mean other people in my community and in my circle. No matter how mad I get at those people, it's not gonna spill out where it gets disgusting and messy and other people have opinions and things like that. That to me is very disheartening. And I would have thought that people as prominent as the group that we're discussing would know better.
Well,
or would do better.
You know what? I have to just take it out of the celebrity realm because the actions of Oprah, Tyler,
Lee Daniels.
Oh my God, him. Oh, and
Monique
are all questionable as far as what they contribute to the Black community. I would say Monique maybe a little less so, but that whole star factor, you're participating in a system that's designed to destroy Black people, period. And I do see that Oprah Winfrey has brought up stars like Ava DuVernay with 13, what's it called, 13?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
13, like that was a good work. She really catapulted somebody like Ava DuVernay. But at the same time, you catapulted somebody like Lee Daniels. So again, that's like one act kind of cancels out the other in a sense. So just taking it out of the star realm, I just want to talk about this book, The Black Anglo-Saxon by Nathan Hare, Dr. Nathan Hare. And he talks about 12 different types of Black people and how they react to racism, white supremacy, in incorrect ways. And I think we need to start analyzing and breaking down where these different types of Black people stand, because there's some Black people that like the status quo as it is. They like racism, white supremacy as it is, and they're willing to do whatever to go along with what that plan is. Or they don't even want to accept that there is racism, white supremacy that's happening on a global level.
As long as it's not affecting them too much, or right. As long as they somehow feel like they've assimilated and are not as affected as the masses.
Exactly. Then you have other people who feel that somehow the government and some good white people and some good Indian people and some good Asian people are going to come together and say, hey, we need to stop what's happening to Black people. And that's an illusion. That's a real sick fantasy. You know, they believe that a government that was founded on racism, white supremacy, is going to somehow help us. And then they want to demean people who don't want to wait around to eat for that. You know, so like I said, there's 12 different, and I'm just going to read like 3 or 4 of them. He calls it, and he calls them the dignitaries, eunuch leaders. And then you have the dignitaries, the powerful and the glorious. So the dignitaries, the eunuch leaders would be somebody like a lot of people felt like Barack Obama was, a eunuch leader. And then the dignitaries, the powerful and the glorious would be somebody like Oprah Winfrey. Then you have the image makers, the mimics, the culture. So he breaks this down. And I think we need to understand this, because sometimes we see other Black people and we think, hey, you're tired of being oppressed just like I'm tired of being oppressed. And they're like, what oppression? You know, and then they feel that you're like, you know, I can trust my brother and my sister. I'm gonna help you and you're gonna help me. And they're like, help you? Why should I help you? Mm-hmm. And we don't understand. It's like walking around with a hole in our pocket. Every time we're putting something in, it's coming out of this hole that is these assimilationist Black Anglo-Saxon Negroes, and we got to get serious about figuring out a solution for that.
I think the first thing is to recognize it, and I'm glad, and that book is a good starting point, because once you you really get familiar with the different ways that the devil shows up, you can recognize all the different faces, all the different faces when they show up. But you know, to kind of wrap up with the issue with Monique. I personally think that a lot of what I see where she got, you know, she really did get the short end of the stick. And the reality is her career may never thrive again. Mm-hmm. I think all that could have been resolved with a conversation, because most things are just misunderstandings. I remember some years ago, Oprah Winfrey and Iyanla Vanzant had a relationship. The Oprah Winfrey Show was still at the top of the charts in terms of a successful show, and she had Iyanla on there regularly, and then slowly she was gonna get Iyanla to have her own show, and then I guess Iyanla got impatient, and then Barbara Walters stole her and gave her a show, and it created this whole mess where
said she was going to give her a show. I don't think she actually got the show.
She got her own show, but it didn't last very long. I think it lasted 1 season and it went away. She did get her own show, yeah. And then, then the relationship between Oprah Winfrey and Iyanla kind of soured or whatever. And they went for years and years, really not talking. And the longer they didn't talk, the harder it became for them to kind of come back together. Then a couple of years ago, before she had her own show now that I don't watch the show, I think Iyanla Fix My Life it's called. Mm-hmm. But anyway, it's a successful show now on the OWN network. But before that happened, they had to come back together and start to unpack what happened all the way back in the early 2000s. And it turned out that there was a lot of miscommunication and misunderstanding. And what it was you're like, oh no, it really was. There was a lot of miscommunication and misunderstanding.
Well, why you don't have miscommunication with racist white supremacists? You can credit them for having every good intention in the world. Like, no, I don't think they mean to kill these kids. You got Chili from TLC doing an interview overseas talking about, well, I just think all lives matter, and no matter if it was a white kid or a Black kid, but it's not a white kid. Okay, yeah. Talking about Black kids. So it's really about Black people being more willing to throw one another under the bus, yes, instead of face their enemy. Turn around, stop looking at me, and let's face forward to the people, yes, we need to be confronting.
And that's part of my point. Like, a lot of what happened was just things that could have been resolved with a conversation, really. Just a conversation to say, okay, well, you offended me when you said this, and I thought you should, whatever, and then get back to, the business of whatever you were doing. But they don't do that. It gets nasty, it gets ugly, it gets public. And then in the end, everybody looks bad, because right now we're giggling and laughing at Monique's thing on her bit on whatever show she was doing this weekend. It's funny, but when you sober up, you see that it's actually not really all that funny. It's a really bad situation. She has been blackballed, like she says, which in real life terms means that it's not like she can go and work at Wendy's or Walmart or whatever, or that she could even get like a 6-figure income doing something to contribute to anything. All she has ever been is an entertainer. And when you get blackballed in the entertainment industry, what are you going to do? You see what I'm saying?
I'm gonna tell you something. A white person, they can get on there, like say Mel Gibson. They can get on there and talk about everybody under the sun, piss off everybody, and the next thing you know, white people like, okay, you ready? Come on back. Let's get this.
That's because they own all the structures, or at least most of the structures.
What I'm saying though, with the point that I'm making, and I agree with you about the conversation, the thing that I really have a problem with is that we are skilled and masterful about how to not forgive and how to attack and not resolve issues with other Black people. Yes. But when it comes to white people, number one, they can forgive anything. You rape
they forgive each other. They don't forgive us.
Well, that's what I mean. They don't forgive you for being alive, but each other, they can forgive them. They can forgive one another for anything. And then on top of that, we have the nerve to be ready to straight up slice and dice another Black person and not help them and not give them a helping hand. But when it comes to white people, we're mums of word. You know, you got people like LeBron James, when he was asked about the baseball player who was getting mistreated or called the N-word while he was trying to play baseball. He said, well, nothing ever really happened to me. You know, I just try to be respectful. You know, I've been to that town many times and nothing ever happened to me. Okay, see, you don't know code. You don't know how to protect your brothers and sisters, because you should have said, you know, that's my brother, and I hate to, I mean, even if you didn't want to take a whole political stance, you could have said, that's my brother, and I feel his pain. And that is so hurtful to know that he has to go through his trying to do his professional job that way. And I would want that for anybody. Even if you don't want to do the Black Power sign, we got to know how to have each other.
But he's the same one who said he needed more facts after they killed a little boy in his hometown.
He said he didn't even know what happened.
Right.
You know,
I wasn't expecting much from him anyway, but
we should be able to expect more from one another. And that's the thing, because I fought Oprah, Tyler. I mean, I fought all of them, again, from what I know, because I don't know them personally, but if we're just putting it out here on a platform that everybody knows about the situation somewhat, I fought all of them. Because number one, you shouldn't even have Monique out there represent Black women like that, period. Lee Daniels, he should not feel comfortable walking around in public with the way that he has offended the Black community and the way that he has attacked the Black community. But that aside, you should have protected, you all should have protected one another, period.
Right. And on that point, I think we wholeheartedly agree, which goes back to my point where I said that I think that a lot of Black people just don't seem to understand what loyalty means.
Exactly.
And it doesn't mean
you
that
say these, you said it was a song, right?
Being loyal. But yeah, and I think that that's one of the things, you know, when we talk about restoring the Black family, the Black community, and so forth, we really need to relearn loyalty. Because when we lose that, that's when you start seeing all these ugly things where everybody, well, not everybody, but Black people feel comfortable throwing other Black people under the bus. And for what? Really, I mean, to what end? What does Monique gain? What does Oprah gain? What do any of them gain? Nothing, except just some mess that we have to watch. And those who don't love us, don't like us, don't care about us are entertained by. And that, you know, to me is what's sad.
And I'm going to take the opportunity to just shout out the fact that, you know, if it wasn't for having a sense of loyalty to Blackness and embracing Blackness, you know, you wouldn't have people like Dr. Boyce out here doing what he's doing. You wouldn't have me and you out here doing what we're doing, because we believe in Blackness and we believe in the Black community to the point where we're saying, I don't want to try to reach to be something in white community and the white power structure. I want to reach out to my people, and I want to say that it's Black. I want to own up to blackness, because a lot of people say, I don't want it to sound black, I don't want it to be black, and we don't need to have the black title. But I was just driving down in this area in the city I live in, and it was these, I don't know if they're Vietnamese or whatever, because all the building signs and everything was in a whole other language.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They didn't say, well, we don't want people to know that we're
Yeah, we can't be too Chinese in
yeah, we can't be too Asian on this bank. We're just not gonna put. I'm like, I don't know if this is a bank or a bakery, because it's in a whole other language, and they had a whole strip like that. But we're afraid to say your black world, you know. And I love the fact that Boyce is unapologetic about that kind of thing. And then you have people who are going to sit there and attack him. They're going to sit here and attack us. The trolls are going to get down there in the comments and attack us. And then other black people are going to join in. Okay, listen, time out for that. We have people who are really trying to kill us, really trying to destroy us, really trying to wipe us off the face of the earth. And it's not going to work. I mean, we're going to win regardless, because you know, the strong survive. You know, the herd gets pruned, those weak fall off. And that's what's happening right now. We're seeing a lot of weak people fall off of this battle. But, you know, those of us who are stronger are going to continue to go, and we are going to win.
Well put, Shaquita. So I guess the message is, in terms of the Black community, we should be more focused on building than tearing each other down. I mean, it's really not that complicated. It's really not that complicated. But I think we've exhausted the topic, and I don't want to upset myself by continuing to talk about it. But anyway, it's always a pleasure talking to you. I want to say to our audience, please check out Married Women's Business. It's at marriedwomensbiz.com. Also check out the Black Power magazine, which was authored by Shaquita Graham, and it is at mwbshow.com. And if you'd also like to check out the monthly series that we do of webinars, it is at mwbevent.com, mwbevent.com. Did you have anything else?
No, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I want to thank you all for the lovely emails and comments that we get. I want to thank you, Noma Langa, and I want to thank the strong Black people that are out there giving back to the community, loving the community, and embracing the community, because I experience those people quite often.
Right. Thank you, guys.